before modern cameras. A Muslim scientist changed the world.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that feels, honestly, a bit like uncovering an ancient mystery. We are going to trace the origins of a piece of technology that is so entirely baked into our daily lives, we literally never stop to think about where it came from. I mean, think about your daily routine. You tap a glass screen, you swipe through these perfectly captured digital memories, you freeze moments in time with absolute crystal clarity. We usually chalk all this up to Silicon Valley, right? Or, recent engineering breakthroughs from the Industrial Revolution. But what if the roots of our modern visual world actually stretch way, way farther back into the shadows of history?
Seriously, just take a second and think about your smartphone camera. It's probably sitting right there in your pocket, or hey, maybe you're even using it to watch this explainer right now. We use these tiny little lenses to capture memories, navigate streets, and share our lives with people thousands of miles away. But I want you to imagine that the scientific roots of that exact tiny lens stretch deep into the past. What if I told you that the very reason your phone can capture an image exists because of a brilliant discovery made over a millennium ago by a Muslim scientist?
It's so easy to just assume that cameras magically appeared in the 19th century, fully formed from the minds of modern inventors. But the fundamental physics of how light and images actually work, that was unlocked centuries earlier. To find the origin, we have to travel back to a truly remarkable era, known as the Islamic Golden Age. This was a time when massive, game-changing leaps in science, math, and philosophy were happening, all while a lot of the rest of the world was kind of stuck in the Dark Ages. And to really grasp this monumental shift in human knowledge, we need to meet the brilliant mind who started it all.
Section 1. Who was Ibn al-Haytham? Okay, so his life begins in the year 965 CE in the vibrant city of Basra, and he lived until around 1040 CE. Just pause and think about those dates for a second. We are talking about 1,000 years ago. The world was a completely different place. And yet from the 11th century onward, his life's work would go on to fundamentally shape centuries of global science, creating a ripple effect of human discovery that he couldn't have possibly imagined. And the sheer scope of Ibn al-Haytham's expertise is just staggering. He wasn't just casually tinkering in a workshop. He was a true polymath, a devoted Muslim scholar, a brilliant mathematician, a groundbreaking physicist, and a pioneering astronomer. Historians recognize him as one of history's absolute greatest scientists because of this crazy multidisciplinary genius. Think about it. Because he deeply understood the complex geometry of the stars as an astronomer, he was uniquely equipped to calculate the angles of light right here on Earth. He didn't just accept the status quo, he used his massive knowledge to question the fundamental nature of the universe. Which brings us to a massive hurdle that had kept human understanding totally stuck for centuries.
Section 2. The flawed Greek theory.
So, for centuries, the absolute greatest minds of ancient Greece, we're talking towering, legendary figures like Ptolemy and Euclid, they genuinely believed that our eyes emitted rays of light. Basically, they thought we had tiny, invisible lasers shooting out of our faces to illuminate objects so we could see them. Which, I know, sounds completely wild to us today. But back then, it kind of made sense to them. Like if you shine a light at a cat in the dark and see its eyes glow, they figured the eye itself possessed this inner fire. But Ibn al-Haytham stepped in and came to a completely different, groundbreaking realization. Light doesn't shoot out of our eyes. Instead, light reflects off objects in the environment, travels through the air, and then enters the eye. This elegant little truth completely flipped the script on physics. But here's the catch. How do you prove something that invisible? You can't just guess, you have to test it.
Section 3. The Dark Room Experiment.
Ibn al-Haytham didn't just jot down some theories and call it a day. He performed incredibly meticulous experiments to actually prove them. And the context of his most famous experiment is actually this legendary story of survival. History tells us he spent a decade under house arrest in Cairo, having literally faked madness to avoid the wrath of a rather unpredictable ruler, the Caliph al-Hakim. It was during this long confinement, locked inside his own literal dark room, that he perfected these observations. Here's what he did. He plunged his quarters into absolute pitch-black darkness. Then he pierced a tiny, precise hole in a window covering to let just a single ray of outside sunlight enter. If you were standing in that room with him, you'd see the dust floating in this sharp, warm beam of light. And then, looking at the wall opposite the hole, you would see something almost magical. An upside-down image of the outside world, perfectly projected in full color right there on the plaster.
This foundational optical phenomenon, it's called the camera obscura. The term comes straight from Latin, literally translating to dark room. And what's so fascinating is that this isn't some human invention, it's a 100% natural occurrence. Long before humans ever built wooden boxes or ground glass lenses to capture images, This was already happening naturally in dark tents or deep caves where a tiny pinhole of light leaked through. The image of a bright scene outside gets projected through that small opening onto the opposite surface, always inverted. By proving exactly how light travels in straight lines and carries inverted images with it through these dark room experiments, Ibn al-Haytham completely changed the trajectory of science forever.
Now, it's absolutely vital we clear up a common internet myth right here. Ibn al-Haytham did not invent the modern mechanical camera. Obviously, you couldn't just click a shutter and print a photograph in the 11th century, but, and this is a huge but, his experiments and discoveries about light, straight lines, and image formation became the absolute scientific foundation that eventually made photography possible. He unlocked the underlying physics, then later inventors hundreds of years down the line built the mechanical hardware based on his exact rules. And once he unlocked this knowledge, he knew he had to share it.
Section 4. The Book of Optics. He recorded these monumental discoveries in a massively influential 7-volume masterwork known in Arabic as Kitab al-Manazir, or the Book of Optics. This was not just some brief essay. It was deeply researched and incredibly comprehensive. Eventually, this book traveled across borders, got translated into Latin, and became known as Dies Festivus. Once it hit Europe, it absolutely rocked the scientific community. His writings went on to directly influence some of the heaviest hitters in European science, like the English philosopher Roger Bacon and the pioneering astronomer Johannes Kepler. When you look at the contents of his book, it's easy to see why it was so revolutionary. He meticulously mapped out the actual mechanics of vision, explaining anatomically how the eye receives light. He broke down the complex physics of refraction, which, is why a straight stick looks totally bent when you dip it into a pool of water. He detailed reflection, showing exactly how light bounces off smooth surfaces. But honestly, perhaps the most important thing he did was argue for the absolute necessity of scientific observation. He basically said you can't just philosophize about nature from a comfortable armchair, and you definitely shouldn't trust a theory just because some ancient Greek guy said it was true. You had to physically test it in the real world. This dedication to rigorous testing is the core of his legacy. Which leads us to Section 5, Father of Modern Optics. All of this matters so much because Ibn al-Haytham was a very early pioneer of what we now just call the scientific method. He didn't blindly trust the ancients just because they were famous. He demanded rigorous observation, physical testing, and hard empirical evidence. This framework, demanding proof through repeatable experiments, profoundly influenced later Renaissance scientists. He systematically proved that objective evidence has to guide our understanding of the physical world. He was literally laying the groundwork for how all modern science is conducted today.
And because of this massive, undeniable influence on later scientists and the entire field of physics, modern historians have given him a very specific, prestigious title, the Father of Modern Optics. It is absolutely no exaggeration to say that without his foundational physics, Renaissance scientists might never have had the exact knowledge they needed to build telescopes to map the stars, or microscopes to cure diseases, or the cameras that capture human history. Millions of us unknowingly benefit from his dedication to truth, light, and geometry literally every single day. You see, science is this continuous, beautiful chain of human curiosity. So the next time you pull out your phone to take a photograph, framing up that perfect shot through your lens, maybe take a second to remember that one of the very first great steps toward understanding how that camera works began in a dark room over 1,000 years ago, driven by the intense curiosity of a Muslim scientist named Ibn al-Haytham. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as